6 o'clock. Welcome to the Region of Queens Municipality Regular Council meeting Tuesday, April 25th. We are holding our council meeting at West Queens Community Center in Mouton. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll ask for approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Charlton, seconded Councillor Gibney. All those in favor? I'd like to welcome West Queens Medical First Responders, who are going to give us a presentation update. I believe they've not addressed us since our time on council. Just a little bit of brief background. This responder unit was founded because of an unfortunate incident over 25 years ago when a member of this community lost their life, and that triggered the beginning of West Queens First Responders. So, if whoever's making the presentation, we'd like to come to the front, and I see it's Brenda Huskins. To the table. What?
To the table. Peter, you want to come up to your computer for us?
What? I'm just reading, I'm not doing the computer. So, I won't touch that.
So
Another chair can move forward if
How would
you just tell me what to do next to the next slide.
Well, my name is Brenda Huskins, and I'm representing and speaking on behalf of our West Queens Medical First Responders in Portland. And first of all, I'd like to thank our secretary, Wayne Smith, who has done up this presentation. Okay, this is regarding the anniversary of West Queens Medical First Responders. This year, 2023, marks 25 years of continual service by the volunteers of the West Queens Medical First Responders. We became an official non-profit society with the Nova Scotia Registry of Joint Stocks Companies in 2000, and our recent annual general meeting gave us the opportunity to consider our ongoing commitment to responding to emergency health challenges of our West Queens communities. Under the auspices of the Nova Scotia Department of Health, the West Queens Medical First Responders are part of the support system of the provincial EHS system. There are currently 12 members serving on committees of maintaining our rig, fundraising, equipment, education, and training. In addition to members who support in ways and means, trained West Queens Medical First Responder members undergo ongoing training to maintain up-to-date skills in areas under EHS-sponsored training. It may be helpful for us to highlight the commitment of members of the first responders by example of our training. Courses that members undertake include health-related documentation, primary physical surveys, airways management, critical response in cases of patient weight issues, cardiopulmonary and resuscitation requirements, external defibrillation, assessing vital signs, pre-hospital burn care, primary scene, and crime scene surveys, fractures and hypothermia, personal protective equipment, electricity threat awareness, triage, backwards. Awareness training also includes vehicle extraction. Of course, not every field of study and training falls within the West Queens Medical First Responders areas of responsibility or mandate to respond. But in our volunteer support status of the EHS, we believe that the training which past or present members have undertaken is a testimony to the commitment that our members have to health and critical response to our West Queens communities. West Queens Medical First responders are part of the Valley Communications 911 emergency dispatch system covering 10 counties 24/7. For the year 2022, the West Queens Medical First Responders responded to 11 medical and EHS support requests in Port Mouton, Hunts Point, and Port Jolly, with time involvements ranging from 23 minutes to 1 hour. In correspondence from Valley Dispatch, it was noted that under Emergency Service Provider Agreement, under the Municipal Government Act, which is 2023 to 2024, the status of the West Queens Medical First Responders has been confirmed to respond to medical calls, in addition to the following status on other calls: operational, for vehicle rescue; awareness, for water rescue, ice rescue; structural excavation collapse; high angle rescue and hazardous materials. And then there's others: man-made and natural disasters, for which we have the training equipment and common system to undertake. And the West Queens Medical First Responders has this document on file. In this, our 25th anniversary year, the West Queens Medical First Responders wish to specially express our appreciation to the region of Queens, Nova Scotia, its council members, the general public, and our neighbors for your continued support. Respectfully, the Board of Directors, West Queens Medical First Responders in Port Mouton. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Brenda. I believe no one else is going to speak.
We have Ira, who may answer any questions that you may have. Please make up one. Ira can't wait.
Councilor Muse.
Is there anybody from the original after 25 years?
No, no, we don't have any of the originals.
Holly is still with us. I'm not sure how far
Well,
back she goes.
Holly would be original, I wasn't aware, but
Yeah.
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 Are there any other questions? If not, I will.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
You're gonna have to get it.
Raise your hand from you.
Oh.
Deputy Mayor Fancy.
Couple different things. You say you're part of the EHS system, right? So does that mean that if there was something, if there was a call that the EHS, if they couldn't get there beforehand, they would, how do you fellows work with that, with the EHS system?
when the call was in, the 911 call was in for a medical emergency, an automobile accident, or whatever the case may be, they dispatch the paramedics, and then they dispatch us via pagers that we have in our home. We respond to the call. Probably 50% of the time, we would be on scene before the paramedics. The rest of the time, they're often on scene. When they are on scene before we arrive, they do all of the medical assessments and treating of the patients and stuff, but we assist them in bringing in the gurney or their ambulance, helping them put the patients on the gurneys, wheeling them out, carrying their equipment, and anything that we've been trained to do to and we have even had at least one case that I recall where they asked one of our members to go with them as they transported to the hospital because of a situation that they figured they need another person with them.
Thank you, Ira. Are there any other questions?
I get a second question.
Certainly.
I'm sorry.
I just need to
No,
ask
I'm sorry, in council meetings, only councilors can speak.
these, ask questions.
Yes.
There's a parking lot.
Well, this all gonna be changed.
Okay, the other question I wanted to ask, you talked about your training with the hazardous materials. Would you classify yourselves as having a hazmat team, so to speak? Say if there was a chlorine leak or something like that, can you respond to that? Or you just, just trained in knowing what hazard materials are and be able to deal with those on a lighter scale?
Yeah, we're not trained to do the hazmat stuff. We have the training. If we get there and the fire department says that it's a chlorine leak, we know what to do, but we're not allowed to do anything else with that stuff.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Peter. Any other questions? If not, I have a certificate that I would like to present. Here it is.
Peter, you're on, your chief.
Come together.
Recognition.
Peter, are you president?
I'm the chief,
Chief.
and Robin's the deputy.
To the members of the West Queens Medical First Responders. On behalf of the Region of Queens Municipality, I would like to extend our highest gratitude for 25 years of service from West Queens Medical First Responders. Volunteering to respond to emergencies speaks volumes of each individual member's passion and care of others. The residents in the communities you serve can sleep peacefully at night, often not realizing the commitment, sacrifice, and selfless dedication of our volunteers. Your members show up in difficult situations and put others before themselves, ensuring the best care for residents and making our communities safer. Thank you for 25 years of hard work dedication. Your commitment to Port Mouton and the surrounding communities does not go unnoticed and will always be appreciated. Are there any petitions to table this evening? Seeing none, public question comment session. For anyone who wishes to speak from the public, you must identify yourself with your name and your civic address for our records. You have 5 minutes maximum, so if anyone has a show of hands, anyone who wishes to speak.
Is this being recorded?
Yes. Okay, you can just state, usually you address council, so
I'd like to be
just
on
sort of-
camera, so that way it's. actually-
You are.
You are.
I'd like to have a copy of it as well.
It'll be put on our website.
Okay, so. I've got
First
a-
name first.
My name's Douglas Bent. Actually, Douglas Bent the third generation village old.
And what is your civic address?
120 Mouton Lane.
Thank you.
And I'm here to address matters of urgency with regards to our entire community and beyond. And what we are understanding is now is that we are operating under a fictional government. And what I'm referring to is the fact that, and there is evidence being put forth, that if we were to simply go back as far as the first treaty, which is actually Black and Dead would not recognize as the first treaty back in 1867. The treaty was first put out there with the natives, and we know how that went down, because they just paid off a huge payment. So in Parliament right now, the entire Trudeau Foundation government, completely back to his father, is now being put in investigation. It was approved today for the CRA, which is the Revenue Canada agency's top priority right now, is these guys, okay? So what we have is we have outside influences from shareholders. So what I need to know right now with regards to anybody in here, what kind of democracy are we for? Because as you know, Trudeau will stand there and he will say, they are a threat to my democracy. But what you need to know is multiple forms of democracy. So when you say democracy, you need to understand what you're for. Trudeau is for shareholder democracy. That is corporation. We are for we the people, constitutional, freedom and rights, charter. So that part needs to be first understood before we can go further anymore with this. But what we also need is we need a form of governing. And there's no doubt about that. So what needs to happen is we need to unite, we need to create a networking system. And I've been doing that for the last 3.5 years. I've been home on a WCB claim. I've got directly affected this in so many ways I don't have time right now to go into it. And what I want to do after this is I want to start by tonight, right now, with the support. And what I need is to share the message. And I want to do is I have a meeting downtown tomorrow night at the park I'll need a speaker and I'll need the mic and so I can speak to the people to start to inform them. But there is a lot going on and we need to address it. So, without further ado right now, one of the issues would be governments failing at the current time to have the ability to govern us properly due to the fact of policies and stuff that's been put in place by our higher government, which is being proven out to be fraudulent at the time. I'm actually going after Houston too. And DFO, right now I have lawyers, a firm of 200 going after them. So this is, I am a steamroller right now, and I just need support. And we need to share knowledge, we need to educate people, and everybody's sick right now. It's sick because of our environment. There's a lot of white noise around it. We're not absorbing our natural beings. When they talk about us, you know the human cell? The human cell was simply something that was, when they looked at it, they thought it was like an egg. Whatever's inside grows and comes outside. That's not the case. What it is, what's outside forms what's inside. So your atmosphere here, our skin absorbs our atmosphere. So therefore, the atmosphere that we have around us, and in Antarctica, they did core samples in Antarctica. They had pulled in core samples, the oxygen level in there was 50 times greater than it is now. Just to breathe, you get high, right? So, again, I'm not sure exactly all the directions I need to go, other than the fact that what I want to do is I need to further go forward with this with the support of everybody, including council. Because what we need to do is we need to remain the including councils and those people that have experience here, that have a long time here, that care about the community, we need those people to stay in power. Because what they are doing is culture canceling, okay? They intend to fill our places over here, like for instance the hotels. They already have 2 designated in Nova Scotia for immigrants. My Stacy works over here at the Best Western. They are putting out ads for immigrants to pay them more, putting more stress on our already beaten system. Our food supplies, fresh waters. I know where there's a natural spring. I'm from the land. My great-grandfather was a chief here. My other grandfather was from England. So I have ties on both sides of the pond. And also, that allows me to operate under both. I went to the Native Council yesterday. There's proof down there of fraudulent documentations from the museum just to there. And I have a guy with 10 years experience pulling to back that up. The evidence is out there. It's just a matter of gathering it up and having time to do it. And with the lawyers of 200 at least, that is a start. Now what we need to do is we need to find out what we're going to do about enforcement. And the simple fact is they took our policing away. That would be our municipality's ability to defend itself, or our province's ability to defend itself. Look what they did with our health care. They took our money and they had it. When I was a kid, healthcare wasn't an issue. There were so many doctors in this town, you couldn't believe it. The town was packed full of people, and there was hope and joy for everything. But all I was getting coming out of school, can't wait to get out of here, go somewhere and find a job. So it's division by cultures, by ages, by race, by languages, and all that has to stop if we as a human, because they do plan on canceling us. And I can tell you this, and I don't mean to overwhelm everybody, but it's true. And what it is called a triple helix. Our DNA is made up of double helix. There is a triple helix process being put in place right now that is patented, that will prove that you are now, once you get your blood drawn, you are now property of who owns that patent. There's 15-minute cities going up. What do you think these big skyscrapers, look at Bridgewater here lately, what they're gonna do, okay? This is to pack in people, this is to bring in the immigrants, okay? Because as time has gone on for hundreds of years, what they are doing now is they are going on to the final stage where they are now going around gathering people and putting them in the cities and stacking them, because instead of spreading them out across the land so they can harvest the resources, which is what the chase for the dollar is, which is nothing more than a banknote. And then they created a fraudulent banking system based off of that note, based off of gold, because the gold actually has a huge value to us as human beings. Gold itself has a resonating frequency, of a healing frequency, and the abilities that it has with the sun. Well, the absorption of the sun is so important to us.
Mr. Bennett, we spoke beforehand, and we have 5 minutes. Is what-
I appear
what
to
we
be
said.
done,
So
and apparently according to this system, so I apologize if I can't carry on, but my message is clear. I wish to have a meeting down at the park, inform people, if you care about humanity, because this is bigger picture, this is our world, and the Wi-Fi signals, okay, the water pollution is going on. I'm offshore, I'm a fisherman, I see our waters, they're dying. I've approached councils many a times, all different branches. I've taken them to court, okay, because they won't be liable.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you guys for your time, and I just needed to try to touch on some things, and there's so many things more. I've spent 3.5 years studying on this stuff. So all I'm asking is for support, and I'm taking it to Houston next.
Thank
okay?
you. It's very obvious you're very enthusiastic.
I'm very passionate. I lost my dog a week and a half ago to the so-called Lyme disease, which of course council knew over 10 years ago, but couldn't do anything because they were held back. And all you gotta do is take some Monlock, put it in some water, spray your dog down, and you're good. That's Mother Nature. That's where we need the healing. She's out there. I got some stuff in my car. Some chocolate. It's an antioxidant. Anybody want some? All I do is take it home, put it in some water, add a little bit to it, and let it steep like tea. Antioxidant, right? Dandelions. Oh, don't even talk about them.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak tonight?
I am
Thank you.
utterly overwhelmed, sorry. I'm just
6.1.
trying to speak fast as much as I could. And you people have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you for
much.
listening to me. And I hope you spread some knowledge, you share some information. And I hope to see people down here tomorrow night. Come on, guys, let's go play.
6.1, approval of the minutes of April 11th, 2023. Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Hawks. All those in favor? 7.1. I believe this would be the first time since amalgamation that the Region of Queens budget has been approved in a facility other than our council chambers. So I think it's very fitting that we are here in a community outside of Queens County, outside of Liverpool, to approve our budget. Staff and council met for 5 budget meetings, 5 times, to reach this budget. And this budget holds some very important and significant work. And I do support this budget. However, I would just like to caution council that this year was very different in the fact that $1.8 million in expenditure is coming out of accumulated surplus from past years. For things such as Liverpool Bridge redesign study, Queens Neighborhood Cooperative Grant, HVAC replacement system, all of which have in other years been part of accumulated surpluses, perhaps not all, but some. I wish to caution council to the $442,000 that is pure operational money that is also coming out of accumulated surpluses. I believe this is the first time in the region of Queens that rather than a 3.8 cent or 4 cent tax rate increase, this council has chosen to take what would have been a tax rate increase out of surpluses, understanding the financial difficulties that are facing people and the challenges that we have today. However, these operational charges will be with us next year. And I just caution council that continuing the process of taking operational monies from accumulated pasts can lead to a rocky future. So, on that note, we have various recommendations respecting our budget for this year. So who would like to make the first? Councillor Romero.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality authorize the levying of a 4 cent area rate in assessment districts 5 and 6 to be provided to Brooklyn Recreation Committee.
And that is seconded by Councillor Muse. Any discussion? This took a long time to get here. It's the first time in many, many years that there was an area rate report and an area rate vote in which the community voted 85–90% that they wish to have this 4 cent area rate for the Brooklyn Recreation Committee. I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Passed. Councillor O'Meara, would you like to continue?
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality Municipality authorize the levying of a 1.5 cent area rate in assessment districts 5 and 6 to be provided to Brooklyn Cemetery Committee.
And that's seconded by Councilor Brown. And again, this is the first time in a long time that the community had the opportunity to vote and show their support for the Brooklyn Cemetery Committee. This area rate and the previous one refer back to a time when these properties were under jurisdiction of the Brooklyn Village Commission. And when the Region of Queens amalgamated, village commissions had to dissolve. So since the time of amalgamation, the Region of Queens has been providing these area rates to these two associations. All those in favor? Passed. Next motion. Councilor Brown.
Move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality authorize the levying of area rates for all assessment accounts according to the following rules. Assessment districts 1 to 12, excluding assessment account numbers 101-48820, 104-62223, and 00132837. A road levy charge is 75% of the provincially mandated road charge, as well as those properties in assessment districts 1, 3, 5, and 6 that are connected to or have the ability to connect to Liverpool's water utility hydrant charges at 100%. Assessment District 13, as well as assessment account numbers 101-48820, 104-62223, and 00132837, debt charges for Assessment District 13 at 100% for roads and streets, and 30% for sewer, roads, streets, and sidewalks, expenses at 75%, engineering, and public works equipment expenses at 75%. Liverpool street paving expenses at 100%, and Liverpool water utility hydrant charges at 100%.
Seconded by Councilor Charlton. Any questions or comments? Now I'll ask for the question. All those in favor? The next one. Councilor Charlton.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality authorize the levying of the following tax rates for Assessment District 13, as well as assessment account numbers 101-48820, 1046-2223, and 00132837, effective April 1st, 2023. Residential and resource-based rates for $1.04 per $100 of assessment, plus an area rate of 88 cents per $100 of assessment for those properties connected to or have the ability to connect to Liverpool's water utility, or 77 cents per $100 of assessment for those unable to connect to Liverpool's water utility. Commercial base rate of $2.14 per $100 of assessment, plus an area rate of 88 cents per $100 of assessment for those properties connected to or have the ability to connect to Liverpool's water utility, or 77 cents per $100 of assessment for those unable to connect to Liverpool's water utility. And that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality authorize the levying of the following tax rates for assessments districts 1 to 12, excluding assessment account numbers 101-48820, 1046-2223, and 00132837, effective April 1st, 2022. Residential and resource-based rates of $1.04 per $100 of assessment, plus an area rate of 3 cents per $100 of assessment for the provincially mandated road charge, and on all assessment accounts in assessment districts 1, 3, 5, and 6 for those properties connected to or have the ability to connect to Liverpool's water utility, 10 cents per $100 of assessment. Commercial base rate of $2.14 per $100 of assessment, plus an area rate of 3 cents per $100 of assessment for the provincially mandated road charge, and on all assessment accounts in assessment districts 1, 3, 5, and 6 for those properties connected to or have the ability to connect to Liverpool's water utility, 10 cents per $100 of assessment. Commercial seasonal base rate of $1.61 per $100 of assessment, plus an area rate of 2 cents per $100 of assessment for the provincially mandated road charge.
Thank you. And is seconded by Councilor Amaro. Are there any questions or comments? If not, I'll ask for question? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. One more. Councilor Brown?
I move that the Council of the Region of Queens Municipality approve the proposed 2023-2024 Liverpool Water Utility operating budget reflecting a deficit of $173,700. And the Council also adopt proposed 3-year operating budgets for the years 2023-2024, 2024-2025, and 2025-2026 for submission to the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board, reflecting deficits of $173,700, $167,388, and $193,506.
Seconded by Councilor Fox. Any questions or comments? I'll ask for the question. All those in favor? Unanimous. Another one. Councilor Gidney.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality approve the proposed 2023-2024 capital budget reflecting expenditures of $14,417,946.
Seconded by Councilor Brown. Questions or comments? Councilor Muse.
I'll be voting against this. There's a couple of reasons. We get some money from the province, approximately $763,000, and we're putting on the Waterloo project. Myself, I feel that that should be going towards housing projects in the area. And the other thing was, in the budget, I don't think it's this year, but we're looking at extending the road in Queens Place Drive. I have no problem with the road. I have a problem with the sewage and the water extension. There's a contract already wrote up, and I think we're changing the contract by doing this.
Any other, Councilor Gidney, did you have a comment as
I have a
well?
comment, yes.
Yes.
I just want to talk about the accumulated surplus.
Yes.
And I understand the situation that we should be using that at different times. However, there are times that I believe that is proper to use, and I think this is the time. The tax rates remain the same, however, the assessment have increased. So there's going to be a change for the residents. When a time of high inflation, high interest rates, so if there's a time to use it, the time I believe is now.
Thank you for your comments. Any other questions or comments? I'm going to ask for the vote. All those in favor? Contrary? And opposed? And one last motion. Councilor Charlton.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality establish June 1st, 2023 as a due date for all property taxes with no interest being charged for any taxes being paid on or before June 30th, 2023.
Seconded by Councilor Brown. Are there any questions or comments? When will residents expect to see their tax bill arrive in their mailbox? Do you
I know
have-
the tax clerk's already started working on it, so it really depends on the timing for SAT, but we'll get them out as soon as we can.
So 3 weeks?
If not, we'll do the best we can, 3 weeks at least.
Okay.
Earlier.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yep. Right, we can vote on that. Let's vote on June 30th, no interest is paid by them. Welcome Director Grant. As discussed at past council meetings during discussion, there are new staffing coming in the Public Works Department to help with supervisory work, to help with a very, very busy department, and to perhaps cut down on some of the outside work that we look for all kinds of things. So the first one is for a civil engineering technologist, and there is a motion within your package. Councilor Gidney.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality approve the civil engineering technologist job description.
And then seconded by Councilor Brown. Director do you have any comments you wish to make on that, the importance of that?
It's a very fundamental job that we've identified as being needed to be discussed previously, something that can certainly support our department, and we're optimistic we'll be able to find something.
Perfect. Does council have any questions? Director Gray? Not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Passed. 7.3 is for an operations coordinator job description. Councilor Muse.
I move that the Council of the Region of Queens Municipality approve the operations coordinator job description.
Seconded by Councilor Romero. Comments?
Similar to the previous position, this person working on the work strategy would seek to satisfy some of the administrative lacking that we have, as well as providing operational support, coordinating tasks and workloads.
Questions of Director Grant? I'll ask for the question. All those in favor? And 7.4, survey technician, Councilor Brown.
I recommend that the Council of the Region of Queens Municipality approve the survey technician job description.
Seconded by Councilor Charlton.
Finally, a survey technician will be stepped down from the licensed surveyor that you're probably more familiar with, somebody to provide site survey work, supposed drawings, detailing that kind of work.
The Public Works Department, our chief engineer, Director Grant, does much more than an engineer. He is responsible for all the administrative work, all the division of wages and how they come forward, the POs, keeping track of all of his expenditures. So it's great to see help in that department and help with the supervisory work. Any questions? No, call for the question. Pass. Thank you. Solid budget recommendation. 7.6. At our last meeting, we approved the registration for all the fire departments and West Queens first responders. We now have one left to do. So this is 7.5. Oh, the community investment fund. Page, thank you. I was wondering what, I thought she came early to the scene. From the community investment fund, the funding for operational funds are due. And they have been investigated by Ms. Henley, and there's many of them, and we make them all individually, one by one. And we've discussed them at our last meeting, so now they're up for recommendation. Councilor Gidney.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to CJQC Radio Society for eligible operating expenses in the amount up to $5,000 from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund.
Seconded by Councilor Charlton. Any questions, Ms. Henley? And we went over these well at our last meeting. Ask for the question, all those in favor? Hank Snow Society, second. Deputy Mayor Fancy.
I so move that the Council of the Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to Friends of Hank Snow Society for eligible operating expenses in the amount up to $10,000 from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund.
And that is seconded by Councilor Gidney. Any questions? I'll ask for the question. All those in favor? Passed. Municipality Research Institute, Councilor Hawks.
I so move that the Council of the Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to the Mersey Tobiat Research Institute for the eligible operating expenses in the amount of up to $5,596 from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund.
Seconded by Councilor Brown. Questions? question? All those in favor? North Queens Board of Trade, Councilor Hawks.
I so move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to the North Queens Board of Trade for eligible operating expenses in the amount of up to $10,000 from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund.
Seconded by Councilor Gidney. Questions? All those in favor? North Queens Heritage Society, Councilor Hawks.
I so move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to the North Queens Heritage Society for eligible operating expenses in the amount of up to $1,500 from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund.
Seconded by Councilor Brown. Questions? Question, all those in favor? Queens County Blades, Councilor Charlton.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to Queens County Blades in the amount of up to $5,000 for 2023-2024 CANScape Energy State Program from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund budget. Such funding shall be available in increments of $125 for each new skater registered in the CANScape program in the 2023-2024 season who has not previously been subsidized by this grant funding in previous years.
Seconded by Councilor Brown. Questions? Ask for the question. All those in favor? Queens County Fair Association, Councilor Hawks.
I so move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to the Queens County Fair Association for eligible operating expenses in the amount of up to $10,000 from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund.
Seconded by Councilor Brett. Questions? Question, all those in favor? Queens County Museum, Councilor Gidney.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to County Museum in the amount of $5,000 from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund.
Seconded by Councilor Romero. Questions, comments, all those in favor? Seaside Recreation Community Center, Councilor Romero.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to Seaside Recreation and Community Center for eligible operating expenses in the amount up to $10,000 from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund.
Seconded by Councilor Charlton. All those in favor? And for those people who are new, the Community Investment Fund was set up several years ago as a way with clear rules of how to apply, what date to apply, and what you can apply for under operational or capital. So these are all operational expenses. So any non-for-profit organization within Queens County who is lacking operational expenses and does not receive the majority of your money from government are eligible to apply, and Ms. Henley goes through them thoroughly. She looks at the budget, sees how much money they have. If they have plenty of money in the bank, then they're ineligible. This is to help assist organizations with their operations. Ms. Henley, would you like to make any comments on these grants?
No, they all meet policy and they're very happy to receive funding.
Thank you. Now 7.6. Fire Department and First Responders. So there is a recommendation, Deputy Mayor Campson.
I so move that the Council of the Region of Queens Municipality approve the 2023-2024 Fire Department and Medical First Responder registrations effective April 1st, 2023. North Queens Fire Association according to the service levels included on the 2023-2024 application for registration.
And that's seconded by Councilor Eden. Are there any questions? I'll ask for the question. You see their application for registration is here. All those in favor? Community Investment Fund, Greenfield Community Park, Councilor Brown.
recommend that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to Greenfield Community Park Society in the amount of up to $31,924.03 from the 2023-2024 Community Investment Fund, and that funding not be released until Greenfield Community Park Society provides satisfactory proof of its financial resources to complete the total project as submitted.
Seconded by Councillor Charlton. Are there any questions respecting that motion?
I just wanted to know why it was separate from the other ones.
That,
Is,
yes. The other ones are operational.
Yes. Yeah, so the other ones are all operational funding to pay the regular bills. This is the first capital one. So I expect there will be, the operational ones, the deadline is typically January 31st. And so they have to be submitted by then. And then they're all reviewed at the same time, which they're all the operational ones that are over $1,000 are now complete for the year after today. I assume they're all complete, unless there's a couple that are outstanding for some reason. But the capital ones we accept all during the year. So this is the first one that we've received that is complete and has all the documentation in order. There may be many more that come during the year, but this is the first one we've received that has all the documentation.
And their project is, their project costs are eligible are $123,696. So generally, when projects are of that large of an amount, before we give our share, we just make sure that they have where the rest of the money's coming from. So ensure the project gets finished for what they apply for.
Sure, and the community investment fund provides, if you're an existing group and you're adding an extension or a renovation, you're eligible for up to 50% of the cost. If you're building a new facility, you're eligible for up to 25%, because this is a new build, they're eligible for up to 25%, and that's why it's 32,000, almost 32,000 of the 123,000. If it hadn't been a renovation or something, then it would have been eligible for double that.
Any questions?
so, like, say the West Queens, the hall here, they have to put in new heating systems. So they can put in any time for that?
As long as it's capital, yes, so a heating system, yes.
Okay.
And you just refer them to Ms.
Yeah.
Henley. And she's very helpful with communities. Dr. Mayor Fancy?
Just want to make sure that I understand that fully too, because we talk about renovations and then we talk about new builds and things like that. So this wouldn't be classified, this would be classified as a renovation if they were doing something here?
If they're doing something substantial, so if they're replacing the whole heating system,
Right.
then that would be a substantial upgrade, which would be capital. If they're just replacing a hot water tank, or if they're replacing some shingles on the roof, those would be maintenance, and those would be operating, those wouldn't be capital. But if they're replacing the whole heating system, or they're replacing the whole roof, those would be a significant upgrade, which would be considered capital.
But I guess that wasn't quite my question. My question was if that would be classified as a renovation. So it would be classified as 50%? 50%.
I guess it's, if the project or the facility exists today, and you're upgrading it, it's eligible for up to 50%. If the facility does not exist today, and you're starting new, then it's eligible for 25%. So I guess you're using the term renovation, which confuses me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's a new build, like if you're putting in a whole new system, is that looking as something new, or is it looking as renovating,
So for example, for this building, the building exists, so if they're gonna upgrade, it's a renovation.
Oh, so it's.
So it's eligible for up to 50%.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
But if they wanted to build a new building
Right,
on the same property or the next property, that would be a new building, and that would be only 25%.
okay.
Councillor Miro?
Now, can you tell me how this would work with Brooklyn Recreation, Brooklyn Hall, where they're receiving an area rate? Would they be
So the way the policy works, if you receive more than 90% of your money from public sources, you're not eligible. So they would have to fundraise, or they have to have a budget that showed that more than 10% of their budget is coming from fundraising or somewhere else. If they show that, then they meet the criteria. But if they don't, if they're just using the area rate, they'd be ineligible under this program.
Councillor Brown?
Just to get back to this project, it's a huge project in Greenfield, and they just got ownership of the old ball field and bought a piece of land next to it, so it's about a 3 or 4 acre, I think, lot that's got a 500-meter walking track around it. There's going to be a gazebo. They've got disc golf, playground equipment is going in. Most of it is being funded by the community.
questions? I'm going to ask for the question. All those in favor? 7.8, Chief Administrative Officer Recruitment Services, reviews a recommendation. Councilor Brown?
I recommend that the Council of Regional Queens Municipality accept the proposal submitted by Gerald Walsh and Associates Incorporated to support the search committee in filling the vacancy of Chief Administrative Officer at Regional Queens Municipality.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Fancy. For those present, a recruitment team was formed consisting of Councilor Charlton, Councilor Brown, Deputy Mayor Fancy, and myself. We met several weeks ago and we reviewed 3 recruitment services that apply to help us with this. Director Vino sent out various 5 expressions of interest to reputable companies, and we heard back from 3. And after careful consideration, this was the decision of the committee. Are there any questions respecting the hiring of Chief Walsh? No? All those in favor? Opposed? Passed. Discussion. So for our new guests here, most of the items we just went through, except for the budget, though they were discussed at budget meetings, 5 of them. Most of all of those motions, except the one that came from the committee, which would be the recruitment services, are discussed at a previous council meeting under discussion. And then if council is in favor, they can move forward for recommendation, or they can remain in discussion until more information is sought. So they remain until they're ready to go forward with the motion. 8.1, within every agenda, we have our council implementation report. It contains the past recommendations made, whose responsibility it is, and what action has been taken to date. Are there any questions respecting the council implementation report? Everything is following along in great order. 8.2, so we've had a request from an individual to put a community little free library in Tupper Park. At our last meeting, we discussed someone wishing to put a memorial bench in one park, and another person wished to place a memorial picnic table at Beach Meadows Beach. And at last council, it was a decision of the council that we would direct our clerk, Levy, Mr. Levy, to draft a policy respecting what goes on our properties. So perhaps it's the will of council that this be deferred and wait until we have a policy in place and have such things clustered together. Does that sound logical? To wait until that? I know Mr. Levy has been working on that policy. He likes to get right at things. So instead, you're fine with that, so you know how to reply to the applicant. Thank you very much. And that is that. We just need a motion for one in-camera item.